Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Okay, the numbers just came out for the jobs report. You've probably already heard the headline numbers, which are the payroll numbers. But what we really need to talk about is what is going on in the underlying trend of the household numbers, as well as what Nick T and others are just now saying. So let's do this. The first thing I want you to know is that the payrolls report is basically surveyed by calling employers and saying, hey, how many people were working this month? And the reason we have revisions is because some people, they don't answer right away. It takes them a couple of weeks to get back. Survey rates are pretty low, introduces a lot of volatility. Jerome Powell talked about that yesterday as well. The household report tries to eliminate some of this double counting. And what's the trend that we're seeing in the households report? Well, the trend over the last 3 months has been the following. It's been 527,000 jobs plus to the upside, okay? And then we've got minus 282,000. And then we have minus 398,000. That's sort of what the trend has been. That's great. This would make you say, okay, well, like these two negative reads just sort of offset this, right? Extremely logical. Like I would do that too. That's why I look at that and I'm like, all right, well, this isn't really recessionary. Really, the whole report that we got this morning isn't really recessionary, right? The payrolls report, so it came in at 227 versus 220 expected. The prior was revised up from 12K to 36K. We had the prior of the private payrolls being revised from a negative 28K to being to negative 2K. So we actually got a positive revision here, and it felt like a balanced report. But we're not so worried about being in recession at this very moment, although some people do believe that, depending on what industry you're in. We're actually more worried about where the trend is potentially heading and how sustainable the trend is. So the household report, if we go to the household report and we actually remove what's going on with government, I'll show you how you could do that quickly, and then I'll show you why that matters. Then you get this really interesting trend. See, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics labor report. Just Google that. And then click on the first link and go to table alpha 8. So all the way at the bottom, you look for alpha 8. And then compare the non-agricultural industries here, number of employers. Compare that to the government section right here. And then what you'll end up getting are values that you can compare. And you can go, okay, how much of these changes in the households reports were because of government? Well, over here, if we want to adjust for the government, you go minus 785,000. Now, government actually surprisingly lost 103,000 jobs over here, and then government gained 80,000 jobs over here. And so now if we subtract this, we'll get a change in the households report, less government. And me, like Doge, love less government. This is why I have a Trumponomics course at mekevin.com. You already know about that, though. Dude, I've been working like 16, 17-hour days. I have not had a chance to change the pricing yet. Just look at these numbers on the board, though. You don't have to listen to me while I write this. But because of that, and since today is the end of Cyber Week, I'm going to probably raise the prices about $100, if not $200, because when this course comes out in 11 days, it's probably going to be a $700 or to $1,000 course. So it's going to be pretty remarkable. Get it in the pre-sale. It comes out in 11 days, which is incredible. So mekevin.com. But look at these numbers. What do you have here? Well, that's not a good trend on the households report. And now if we look at the payrolls report, the 3-month trend is a little better. The 3-month trend has kind of been doing this, and it started going up a little bit right here. This up is a 138,000 job trend, which is the best since May. This over here, this 6-month average, is actually the worst of the entire cycle. Now, it's possible that this section right here is just being driven by the government jobs going into the election, which actually means that this 3-month trend is not particularly useful. And the more concerning trend is the 6-month trend and what's going on with the households report. Labor force participation also declined, which isn't good. That led our unemployment rate to go up, which then people start getting nervous about the SOM rule getting triggered again, though it shouldn't be because we've untriggered it, which is what happened in 2006 as well. SOM rule right now is only 0.43, but it's a tick up. And so a lot of folks are worried that, hey, what does this mean if we keep this household trend going for January and February? And I agree, that's exactly what we should be paying attention to. And I think there are reasons to say, yeah, there are underlying weaknesses that are concerning, and we should start really thinking about positioning for 2025. I think it's already old news for 2025 to say that bonds are probably going to perform very well in 2025. But what matters more in 2025, in my opinion, is how you're going to protect your base. So I want you to think about this. You want flexibility. You want a home equity line of credit if you have a home. I don't want you to take that money to pay off credit card debt. I want you to have that as a rainy day emergency tool. Or, if credit lines start getting frozen, you draw it, you put it in cash, right? It's a variable rate loan. It's something to think about. And you have a buffer. Think about delaying some of those discretionary purchases. Think about paying off debt, get out of margin debt. Look at the profit taking that started yesterday on MicroStrategy. Okay, it was weird. We ran over 100,000. MicroStrategy was up like 10, 20% during the initial part of the day, and then it ended up closing down 8%. Obviously, Bitcoin lost 103. Of course, there's going to be some profit taking around that 102, 103 level because we just broke above that. But it makes you wonder, was that sort of driven by the last deployment from Micro? And at what point do people say, okay, the underlying trends are going to start driving profit taking? I don't know. I'm not saying that you should be taking profits, but what I am saying is do whatever you can to make sure you're not heavily exposed to leverage or margin right now, because the underlying trends, when you look closely at them, they're worsening and they're not improving, which could mean things are bad next month, or it could mean that things are bad within the next 6 months. Who knows? Those are the underlying trends that I do not love. And so that's why I want to make sure everybody's protected and as safe as possible. Something else that I'm noticing is we're now at an 82% chance of a 25 BP cut in December. I would say that's pretty much confirmed. You sort of got that reiteration of Powell suggesting he's ready to support the labor market with everything they've got as well. So anyway, meetkevin.com. Thank you so much for watching. Be back home. I cannot wait very soon. Thanks, folks. Bye.